Dr. Paul and Vincent, preacher, teacher, and prolific author of the popular Persistence Works book series, broadcasting the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ from El Paso, Texas to the world, and bringing you into God's presence. Experience the difference. You'll never be the same. Don't just watch TV, watch Persistence Works Television Network, PWTN.
Hello, everybody. God bless you. This is another day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Hey, I want to welcome you to today's program. This is a brand new program, and it's the maiden edition of our new program. It's called Global Politics. It's a program that we want to talk about the political happenings around the world, and we want to give it, look at it from a Christian perspective, of course, and we want to look at and consider what's going on and the root of them and how they could be solved. And of course, we are going to be praying for these nations of the world. So each week, we will be taking a look at a specific country or a specific city or state, and we'll get a guest who have an insight into what we are talking about, into the happenings, and we get to interview them. So today, we are starting off this program with looking at the nation of Niger. Some of you are familiar with what's happening in Niger. There was a coup recently, and there is a threat of war by ECOMOG or ECOWAS, and also all kind of things happening. So we are going to be exploring it. We're going to be looking at it. And by the way, I'm your host, Bishop Paul Vincent, and I have a guest in the studio who is going to help me to address or look at this issue. He's going to give us his perspective on these issues because he is well informed in the issue. He has been in the system. He is a retired Rear Admiral in the Nigerian Navy. And I want to thank God for having him here today. We've interviewed him in the past, where we talked about his experiences and his life journey, and it was a great interview. By the way, if you missed that interview, just go to the video on demand section of our TV network. You will see it, watch it, you will really enjoy it. So today, I have him in the studio, and before I introduce him, let me also remind you, please do share this video. By the way, we are coming to you from our Persistent Works TV network. We are streaming this on 14 different platforms on our TV network, which streams on Roku, on Fire TV, Apple TV. We're also streaming on our two apps, our Android app, our iPhone app. We're also streaming on our website, persistentworks.tv, and on all the leading social media platforms, YouTube, our two Facebook pages, and LinkedIn, Twitter, what have you. All the leading social media platforms, we are there and we are streaming. So you can watch us on any of those places. And if you are watching on social media, especially, please do share this and let it be a blessing to somebody. Hey, we need to be aware of what's happening in the world. Even we as believers, as Christians, some people think that being a Christian means that you are irrelevant in the world and the society you're living in and only be heavenly conscious. No, we need to be heavenly conscious, of course, but we need to be earthly relevant. And that's my philosophy. We need to be involved where we can to be able to make a difference in our community. So this program helps to enlighten us as Christians, as believers, so that we are informed about what's happening and we know how to pray. So that if you are praying aright. You are not praying, a prayer that is not going to make any difference, or that's from a standpoint of somebody who is ignorant. So that's the purpose of this program. Once again, I want to welcome you to Global Politics, Focus on Niger. Today's edition focuses on Niger. So let me come to my guest. He is Rear Admiral RAPHAEL OSONDU. He served in the Nigerian Navy and retired honorably, and he rose to become a Rear Admiral in the Navy. He had served in many capacities, and we have him today. His experience and expertise in the military within Nigeria, within ECOWAS sub-region, and within the government, that makes him the perfect guest to have for today. So I want to welcome him right now. Rear Admiral RAPHAEL OSONDU, my big brother, I want to welcome you especially to this special edition, the maiden edition of our Global Politics Focus on Niger. So welcome, sir, and thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thank you, Your Lordship, for inviting me to this program.
Wow, thank you so much. So we are going to be talking about Niger, as you know. Before we get into all the details and all the politics, let me just ask for your general perception. What's your perception of how do you perceive what's happening in Niger so far? Just a broad overview of what you think about it, your perspective on it.
Thank you for that question. For every action, that is according to Newton's law of motion, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Yes.
What is happening in Niger is a reaction of some injustices, some perceived injustices over a long period of time. And now the people are reacting through the military. That's just the way I see it.
Okay.
Because there is no condemnation from within Niger.
Yeah. They are actually celebrating.
They are actually celebrating. So, which means they are reacting to something.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. And we are going to get into more specific in different aspects. But the interesting thing also, I don't know if to say it's interesting, but the thing is that not only Niger has been involved in military coup within the past 2-3 years. A couple of about 4 African countries, in fact, within that same region, who they are all French colonies. They all have the same similar experiences. So will you say that the same force, the same driving force, injustice that played out in Niger, will you say that also was responsible in those other countries, African countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, and all that?
Well, you just said it. They are all Francophone countries.
Yes.
Yes, they are reacting to the same symptoms.
The same symptoms.
Yes, it is a wave blowing across
Francophone
countries. So,
okay.
and it has to start somewhere.
Has to start somewhere.
When it happened in North Africa, the northern part of Africa, it was a wave.
Yeah.
Starting from Tunisia, and it cut across Egypt, Libya, and all this. So
the one that was popularly called the Arab Spring, right?
Arab Spring, you have got it.
Yeah.
So that's this one now is the Sahel Spring. If I may.
The Sahel Spring.
It started Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, now Niger. You know, and we have another DG in my place here in Nigeria, in Igbo land, in particular the eastern part of Nigeria. That they say when a child is crying and pointing in one direction, it is either the father's relative or the mother's relative is there.
Okay.
So for this wave of change in the Sahel region, Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, and now Niger, that means there has been something wrong somewhere.
Something has been going wrong for a long time.
Somewhere. And now the people are reacting. And when somebody is pushed to the wall and he has nowhere to run to, he will bounce back.
Of course.
So what we should be more interested in right now is to find out the causes of these symptoms.
Okay.
I'm not just looking at the symptoms.
Okay.
It's just like somebody who has malaria. The symptoms of malaria may be headache, fever.
Yeah.
What is causing those symptoms? It's mosquito bite.
Yes,
So if you want to treat the symptoms, you must find out what is causing the symptoms, and you get the appropriate medication
to treat it,
to deal with the causes.
Yeah.
As you are treating the symptoms, you take care of the causes of the symptom. You uproot the causes,
exactly,
so that there will be no manifestation of the symptoms again. So that's the situation in that region.
That's interesting. Something is wrong somewhere.
Something is wrong somewhere, and the world should not pretend that they don't know.
That all is well. That's right. Okay.
So it is, there's something that we should know as members of humanity.
Yeah.
That silence means consent. When something is going wrong and you look the other way, you are guilty as the person who is committing that crime.
Exactly.
The world knows exactly what is happening. And they should come out and condemn the causes of those symptoms outrightly.
Outrightly.
Yes. And there will be peace everywhere. You see, nobody is asking for just peace. They want justice and equal rights. That's just all.
Exactly.
So that's the situation. The way I look at it.
That's interesting.
We shouldn't play games about what is happening.
I love the fact that you mentioned or you talked about the root cause. And I think we are going to get into it now, because often when things happen without people knowing the root cause of why things are happening, and people can actually misjudge or have the wrong opinions. But when people try to know the root cause of something happening or not happening, then the cure can become more, like you just said. You treat malaria by treating the cause, the root cause of it. So we put together a video. We are going to get back to this now. We put together a video and we are going to play that video. And hey, viewers, if you are just joining us, you are watching our brand new program, Global Politics. And each week we focus on a particular nation or city. So this week we are focusing on Niger because of what's been happening there. So I have on set my guest today, Rear Admiral RAPHAEL OSONDU, who is a retired Rear Admiral in the Nigerian Army. And he has the expertise to speak to what's happening. So before we get back to it, in addressing the root of it, let's watch this video and pay attention to the details of this video. And then we'll come back to talk about these root cause issues and also how to go from there and how best to address them. So don't go away, just watch this.
Watching Persistence Works Television Network, PWTN.
France remains as a member of the UN Security Council, and yet France today remains one of the biggest perpetrators of human rights violations in Africa. And everybody is giving it, the world is giving it a blind eye. United Nations, it is a body that's supposed to be the watchdog for human rights violations. France remains the biggest risk to peace and security in Africa today, and nobody is talking about it. France did something absolutely deplorable. Made the former colonies, because they still are colonized, sign a document which they called the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. Dig this. On one hand, we're giving you your independence, but on the other hand, sign this document that you are agreeing to continue to be colonized. So two countries said, no way, Jose, we aren't doing this, Guinea and Mali. The French could not understand it. How could an African country dare not want to be affiliated with France? So in their anger, history tells us that they went into those two countries, took everything that they thought they had brought, proceeded to pour concrete into the sewage pipes, completely devastating the two economies. This was also done as a way of letting the other countries know that should you refuse to sign this document, this is the fate that awaits you. So the rest of the countries signed the pact for the continuation of colonization remains in place. What is special about this? The Pact for the Continuation of Colonization said, 1, you shall deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Central Bank under the control of the French Minister of Finance. The French government will take all your monies, collectively invest your monies in the French stock market, under the French name. And you don't have to know what the returns are. Should you wish to access some of your money, keep in mind that countries are now left with only 15% of their reserves. You have to submit your country's financial report. And if approved, you get to access up to 20% of your deposits from the previous year as a loan at commercial interest rates. I'm going to repeat that. Should you want to access some of your own money, you have to submit your own country's financial report. And if approved, you get it as a loan at commercial interest rate. So you go from having a humongous credit with France to now owing France for borrowing your own money, a loan that you'll never be able to finish paying. They also said, all your minerals discovered and yet to be discovered, French companies have the first right of refusal. You go to those countries today, all major contracts, French companies have the first right of refusal. The water supply, the power supply, the mining fixtures, the oil rigs, roads construction, airports, French companies have the first right of refusal. If anything is left, the people in your country may get it. They also said, your military can only be trained by France. You can only purchase military equipment from France. France shall have military presence in your country and can invade your country without notice if France feels that her interests in your country are being violated. In the past many years, we've had 67 coups in Africa out of 26 countries. Of the 26 countries, the coups, 16 coups, 16 countries were former French colonies. To date, 22 African leaders were assassinated during a coup, documented all of them. France was behind it, simply because France felt they were quote-unquote threatening French interests. Countries are still depositing their funds to France, do's and don'ts as stipulated by the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. You have given up your financial resources. You have given up control of your natural resources. You have given up your military. What power do you have? Today, because of the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, France alone, that little bitty country, is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Over $500 billion. And by the time they finish investing that money into the French stock market, they're realizing trillions of dollars in any given year. Park that. The watchdogs for corruption are saying out of Africa, 50 billion gets out of the continent from corruption. The question I have is, why has it been so difficult for us as Africans to say enough is enough? How long are we going to keep watching this carnage go on and we say nothing?
You are watching Persistence Works Television Network, PWTN.
Just like Niger, it has a wide variety of minerals and resources. It is one of the world's biggest producers of uranium, a major producer of gold in the African continent, and a major source of oil in West Africa. Yet, the country has not been able to cash in on its resources. It remains one of the world's poorest countries. 42.9% of its people live in poverty. 83% of them live in rural areas, and 20% of them cannot meet basic daily needs. Why? Is the country suffering from the resource curse? The paradox of the plenty? Or is it a victim of foreign exploitation? You know, a casualty of the global battle for resources. Hello and welcome. This is Gravitas Plus. I am Molly Gambhir. It has been over 2 weeks since the coup in Niger. The country's constitution has been suspended. Foreign troops are being forced to go back home. And the supply of uranium sales to the West might stop. That's right. Niger's junta is threatening to stop selling uranium to the West. A move that might hurt Western nations deeply. And here's why. According to a World Nuclear News report, Niger supplies around 5% of the world's uranium, a resource critical to Europe's nuclear energy. According to the Euratom Supply Agency, the EU purchased around 2,905 tons of raw uranium in the year 2021. And this, by the way, represented about 24% of the EU's uranium imports, putting Niger ahead of Kazakhstan as the EU's leading source of uranium. Which European country buys the most uranium from Niger? France. Niger accounts for 15% to 17% of the uranium used to generate electricity in France. So if the junta halts the supply of uranium, France would be the biggest loser. And observers say that Paris invited this upon itself. Have a look at this 2013 report. It was published by Oxfam. It said that France was making a killing, profiting off the uranium in Niger. Yet, the people of Niger have seen almost no benefits from this uranium extraction. 1 out of every 3 light bulbs in France is apparently lit because of Nigerian uranium. Yet, in Niger, nearly 90% of the population has no access to electricity. Why is that? Why is the world's 4th largest uranium producer and a strategic supplier to France still poor? Why has it failed to benefit from the revenue of this extraction? Here's what Oxfam said. The multinationals that are mining uranium in Niger have a habit of signing secret agreements and indulging in closed negotiations. There is no transparency and there is no equity. The deals are more accommodative for the firms that mine uranium than the people of Niger. You see, Niger is not the only state in the region with valuable strategic resources that has witnessed a coup. Have a look at this map. In the year 2021, the Republic of Guinea witnessed a coup. It holds the distinction of being the world's largest producer of bauxite, an essential mineral for a host of industrialized economies, especially Europe. Same story with Mali. In 2021, the country was ranked as the 4th largest producer of gold in Africa, producing about 63.4 tons. The same year, the country witnessed a coup. And then we have Burkina Faso. It is the 5th largest producer of gold in Africa, producing around 45 tons. In January 2022, Burkina Faso also witnessed a coup. You know what's common among these countries? Most of their resources are mined by foreign companies, companies that are either from the US, Canada, or France. I'm not saying they go there with vested interests, but there is some level of exploitation that indeed does take place. Have a look at what this report states. It talks about how, despite the end of French colonialism in West Africa, the country still maintains neo-colonial policies, effectively controlling West African economies by making them use the CFA franc as their national currency. Let me quote an excerpt from the report. The CFA franc is a barrier to industrialization and structural transformation in these countries. It is a neo-colonial device that continues to destroy any prospect of economic development in user nations. And this economic exploitation, by the way, is just one piece of the puzzle. The other is military dominance. You see, the United States has one of its largest and most important drone bases in Niger. The Air Base 201. It cost $110 million to build and an additional $20 to $30 million per year to maintain. That's right, the US is spending millions on a military base in one of the poorest countries on earth. This base has been functioning for years, yet it has not brought the Nigerian people any prosperity. By all means, it only served America's geostrategic interests, helps it protect French and American economic activity. The point I'm trying to make is fairly simple. This external influence and interference in West African countries, coupled with the unchecked extraction of the region's vast natural resources, may explain why the militaries and the people of these states have risen in revolt. Their actions cannot be justified by any means. But maybe it's not just power that they are seeking. Maybe they are also seeking complete decolonization, complete control of their resources, and complete sovereignty.
You are watching Persistence Works Television Network, PWTN.
Viewers, welcome back. Welcome back. Well, we have just watched what I would say is the root of, Rear Admiral, you talked about the root of the problem. What we've watched, I would say, is the summary of the root of the problem in Francophone Africa. And these videos just highlighted it and got to it. So what do you say about the video and the points they made?
These are verifiable statements. I wouldn't call them allegations. They are verifiable statements. And for those who have had the opportunities of visiting these countries, you will see poverty personified. During or nationalized, let me use the word, poverty nationalized. Yes. I've had the opportunity of visiting Senegal, Guinea, Burkina Faso. You discover it is the same trend, just as have been outlined by the two presenters. You cannot have a country in a country and you say you are a nation. A visit to Senegal, Dakar in particular, you will see the French naval base with good platforms, that means ships and boats. And you see just a distance from there, the rickety Senegalese naval base. you see trawler-looking, canoe-looking types of ships. So dilapidated, and you say this is a national naval base, and this is a French base. And as the two presenters explained, there are two countries in a country, and the French seems to control major infrastructures. Even in their training schools. The French controls the strategic aspect of their training. And their presence in those countries, they made them believe they were there to protect them, protecting them against.
That's the deception of it. It's like we are here for you, but actually we are exploiting you.
They are just there to exploit them for their own interests. And the time has come. You signed pacts.
And I think that's the root cause of the problem, the pact for continuation of colonization. That's the root of the whole problem in Francophone Africa.
You signed fraudulent pacts without them understanding what they were signing.
Yeah.
Now the children have come of age.
Exactly.
Since independence, we were still stagnant. So what is the benefit of the independence? Now they have seen, because most of them now have the opportunity of traveling to other parts of the world to train and see things. Some of them come to Nigeria, to Defense Academy, to Armed Forces Command and Staff College, to National Defense College, and they meet with Nigerian officers and other foreigners.
Yeah.
You know, when you get back home, you ask yourself, what is wrong with our own country? And now
some of them also train even in the US.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just giving the Nigerian experience.
Yeah.
You know, they meet with other countries, officers who came to train in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And they see their standard of living, you know, and quality of life. Now, by the time they get home over the years, they will be asking, what is it that is not being done right? And most of them never knew about this part. Yes. They said the French came with the policy of assimilation. This, that. Now the thing has blown in the open. Most countries, especially in Africa, the non-Francophone countries in Africa, may not have known what the Francophone countries have been going through.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, all the areas that were colonized, whether the Anglophone or the Francophone, every one of them had a teething problem. Teething problem.
Yeah.
And now some of them have overcome it.
Yeah.
Kenya is doing well. There's this country in the Central African Republic, I don't remember the name. They are doing so great.
Yeah.
You know, Nigeria is trying. Our problem is that of leadership.
Leadership, that's right.
That our resources were in control.
Yeah.
But these Francophone countries are not even in control of their resources.
And that's the sad part. They have so much resources and natural resources, and yet they don't control it, and they are in abject poverty.
Their standard of living very low. I've been to some of them, at least to 3 of them. You know, and they are neighbors to Anglophone countries.
Yeah.
Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. They are Nigerian neighbors.
Yeah.
You know, Ghana is there with the Francophones. Burkina Faso too, neighboring them, Guinea and all those.
Yeah.
So by the time they get back and say, what is wrong with us that we are stagnant? Instead of going ahead, it appears we are retrogressing. And they began to make inquiries. And this is one of the outcomes of the inquiries, that they've been cheated for a very long time.
Yeah.
And they are now reacting.
Because the bottom line. Go ahead, sir.
The Western world that is aware, or that has been aware of what has been happening, try to look the other way. At times, in collaboration with France, they will get in there and get whatever they want to get.
Yeah.
The question is, what is even US doing in Niger?
Yeah.
You say you use them as a strategic, you are using their land.
You know,
what have you done to better the lives of these people? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just exploitation. And I said it earlier in this program now.
Yeah.
When you push somebody to the wall, he bounces back.
Of course.
And in the process, he will charge through whatever. Because you have pushed him to the point of hopelessness.
Yeah.
And he will not just to go down as a coward. And now they are fighting for their future. This is colonialism. This is colonialism in present day.
In the 21st century.
Yes. We have had scramble for Africa in the 19th centuries. Now in 21st century, another scramble for Africa. You know, and this was now perpetuated, especially the Anglophone countries. If you check the Anglophone countries,
especially the Francophone, you mean, right?
Yeah, the Francophone. If you check the Anglophone countries, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, you know,
they are doing much better, right?
They are, especially in West Africa.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't sign such pact.
Yeah.
We were under the British colonial rule. 1960, they gave us independence. By 1963, we became a republic and cut all colonial ties.
Yeah.
You know,
and by 1973, I think Nigeria had her own currency and stopped using the pounds.
And you move from right-hand driving to left-hand driving. You know, we moved from left-hand driving to right-hand driving.
Yeah.
You know, so we started borrowing things from America, from Russia, whichever one that suits us.
Exactly.
That is how a nation should be. You know, but this one now, perpetual enslavement.
Slavery. Because the currency, the economy, the natural resources, the military, everything is owned and controlled by, you know, France.
By France. For how long?
And
you collect my money. He said I should deposit. Now I want to collect part of my money. You say you can only give me a certain percentage, and that's a certain percentage of my money. I will pay interest again.
As a loan.
That is man's humanity to man.
You know, like the first lady that talked about $500 billion every year that France takes out of Africa, which is Francophone Africa. You see, it's just so heartbreaking that I'm kind of thinking they didn't wake up early enough. They should have fought back much longer, because this has been going on for 1960 to now. That is over 60 years. Am I right? That's over 60 years now.
It takes courage.
You are right.
Courage, determination, dedication.
And willing to sacrifice.
That's what I mean, courage.
Yeah.
Once you are courageous, you are ready to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Look at it is now the president of France is apologizing for their very wicked policies. It started with Algeria, apologizing to them, which means they have admitted that they've been cruel to Africa.
Yeah.
You know, now that he has apologized, yes, let's watch. Are they going to resign and cancel such pacts? That is what we should be looking. Now that you have admitted that you'll be doing the wrong thing for a period of time, what is the next step?
Because the bottom line is that, the people of Francophone Africa, specifically Niger, since that's where we're talking about specifically now, they have right to their freedom to enjoy their resources. They have right to their independence, not just on paper, but in reality, not being independent, yet you are still being colonized because of the continuation of colonization. They have the right to the quality of life that other African countries have, which is very obtainable. It's not like rocket science. So they have been denied for so long. And I think any effort to fight back to get what belongs to them, rightfully belongs to them, should be a welcome development, even though if it comes in form of military coup, which even though under normal circumstances, some of us will not say a military coup is not welcome, but whatever it is that it would take to fight back and get what rightfully belongs to you, I think that's a welcome development.
Let me tell you, the truth is that military rule is an aberration.
Yeah.
In a democracy.
Yeah.
If they decided they want to run military, nobody will enforce democracy on them.
Yeah.
But since they accepted democracy, there are many ways of going about it.
Yeah.
I am not a supporter of any usurpation of power undemocratically.
Yeah.
Yes. We have seen coups come and go.
Yeah.
Without achieving whatever was objective. The issue is, what are the causes of coups? And globally now, people are talking, like the two presenters have presented it to the world to see why these nations are reacting. Yes. Now, the thing is that we talk about coups and military rules. It's just military rule in perspective. Because maybe only the head of state will be a military ruler. The Minister of Justice is a civilian. Maybe the Minister of Health, most of the members of the junta are civilians.
Yeah, like the Prime Minister they just installed, he's a civilian, right?
So how could you now say, term it a military rule? No. Yes. So, but the thing is, it's just a change of government by use of force, which I don't support. I'm not an advocate of that.
Yeah.
I've seen it that I joined the military during democratic rule in Nigeria. You know, and within my period in the military took over governance, and I saw how it was. And finally, we reverted to military. I mean, to democratic rule, democratic civilian rule, 1999, and we've tested it. Do you understand? The military in particular is better cared for in a very true practiced democracy.
Yeah.
And they get subordinated to civil authorities. Now, every coup professes a correction of evil by the ousted civilian regime.
Yeah.
And they forget. They never took time to study why the civilian regime was not functioning to the expectation of the citizenry. We are always in a rush to take over. And then the situation will start glaring your face. And then you see military having coups and counter coups. What I will advocate always is try and find out the causes of these counters. It's bad governance.
Yeah.
Have we bothered to find out why the bad governance? Are there external influences? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
How do we take care of the external influences? Yes, an external influence might not be to the good of the citizens.
Of course.
How do we take care of that? The cause of that symptom.
Yeah.
Okay, we change government. And before you know it, you go back to the same person that nurtured, cultivated and nurtured bad governance to the detriment of the people and to the benefit of their interests. You know, in international relations, there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, but permanent interests.
Yeah.
So many African leaders, especially in Francophone, were assassinated while in office just because they wanted to table before the colonial masters the wrong, and they stopped dancing to their interests.
Yeah.
They eliminate them through their brothers too.
Yeah.
Through coup, they eliminate, and before you know it, you are indoctrinated. And some of them are very good at giving money. They will give you money and money, say overthrow this government. And you might not even know why you're overthrowing the government. They will only show the poor size of performance. You kill your brothers, push them aside, and then the master will come again and find a way to move. You say democracy. They bring their puppet and they start working for them.
Mm.
So, but
So
I think
it becomes like a recurring decimal, like a cycle that kind of like keep repeating in many cases.
Yes, what is happening now amongst the Francophone countries is long overdue.
Yeah.
It was long overdue, but now they are beginning to see the wave.
Wow.
They are beginning to see the wave. How can you enslave countries?
For ages.
For ages, monkey is walking, baboon is eating. No, let the monkey that walked eat first before the baboon is given anything. So Africans are laboring for the West. Yes, I have uranium, which is even dangerous to health. The people are languishing in poverty. You are excavating their uranium, mining their uranium, and they get nothing. And the little I get locally, you say I should come and deposit with you. Okay, I deposit. I deposit with you. Next day I come back and say, I want just a little of what I deposited.
It becomes a loan.
Okay, I am not giving you that. You can only take this. But this is interest you take, you pay. On your own money, you are getting back.
Yeah.
It is absurd. It is mass inhumanity. It's mass inhumanity. Their reaction, yes, is sending a message across the globe that it might no longer be business as usual.
It's not going to be business as usual. That's right.
Yes, but let it not be unnecessarily prolonged before it will become counterproductive.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Thanks so much for that perspective. We are coming back to all of this discussion from another angle. Well, viewers, if you're just joining us, you have been watching Global Politics, and we are focusing on Niger. This is a new program we started on Persistent Works TV network. We are streaming on 14 different platforms from our Persistent Works TV network channel to Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV. We're streaming our 2 apps, our Android app, our iPhone app, on our website, persistentworks.tv. We're also streaming on all the leading social media platforms. So wherever you're watching, please do join, do share this video. Let it help somebody understand what is happening. We've been talking with Rear Admiral RAPHAEL OSONDU. He's a retired Rear Admiral in Nigerian Navy. And we are focusing on, we are talking about the nation of Niger and the recent coup, what's been happening. I'm sure you are getting some insight into the root. We are trying to get to the root of the problem and why things have been like this, not only in Niger, but in Francophone African countries, which are countries that include Côte d'Ivoire, Niger, Chad, Mali. I think there are about 16 of them also that make up those Francophone countries. So we are getting back now. Yeah, Rear Admiral, you see, France's past, let me say evil past, and the realization of how they have exploited Francophone Africa is now giving rise to creating opportunity, I would say, to Russia, for Russia to step in, because you will see that Russia is beginning to, and because Russia doesn't have that imperial past, you see that most of these African countries, especially the Francophone ones, they are now beginning to tilt towards Russia, looking up to Russia, in recent time. And Russia has also been making moves. They've had the recent Russia-Africa, kind of conference where they are really making every effort to penetrate Africa, and actually I would say to uproot France where they had their hold and supplant their own presence there, which is why groups like Wagner, the Wagner group has been much present. Actually, I just read and discovered that Wagner has over 5,000, do I call them troops or men, across Africa. And countries like Burkina Faso, they look up to actually Russia and through Wagner is providing all the support, economic, military, and what have you to them. Even this Niger we're talking of now, you see that one of the backup plans they have is Russia and the Wagner Group. So you see that most of these African countries are beginning to look to or tilt towards Russia, and Russia itself is making bold moves to, get involved or to get into these countries. And while that is that on one hand, on the other hand, I also see it as a carryover of what's happening with Russia, Ukraine, because you know that the war with Russia and Ukraine and all of Europe, of course, US is involved, but is predominantly Europe and NATO and Russia. Now, at the heart of it all is all about control. Russia feels that NATO is getting too close for comfort, building their bases and having everything close like almost under their nose. And in trying to, they've spent like 8 years trying to warn them, hey, stay away from my backyard, and that didn't seem to fly until they launched the attack to strike. And with the sanctions and everything happening, Europe fighting back, there has been that battle whereby Russia and Europe has been, and we all know that Europe depends on Russia for like 40%, over 40% of the energy source in Europe comes from Russia. And they have other projects going on, energy projects going on until that war. So as a result of that, they did cut some of those deals. They did place sanctions, and Russia fought back too and tried to, even this uranium, much of the supply came from there, but now they are kind of trying to block everything. So their hope is looking to Africa. So if we don't get energy and uranium and all that from Russia, hey, we have other options. So you now see that there is a bigger picture where Russia itself and the role they are trying to play in Africa is also trying to, the way I see it, is as if they are trying to block France and Europe too from where they think they are going to get a substitute for what they could have gotten from them. And all of that is playing out. So what's your perspective and what do you see as to how the role Russia is about to play in Africa? And do you think it's going to be a good thing or not so much of a good thing for Africa, especially those Francophone African countries?
Well, thank you. This is the second scramble for Africa. None of them means well.
Okay.
To Africa.
For Africa.
None. Both the West, Russia, they are just coming around to see what they can grab.
Okay.
Has any of them ever come to say, I'll do this for you free? I'll do this for you free without asking for anything? The answer is no.
No.
It is a scramble, second scramble for Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Russia wasn't imperialistic at the beginning. It never mattered to them.
Yeah.
They are coming late into the market. And the West is not ready to relinquish anything to Russia.
Yeah.
And where is the battleground? Africa.
Yeah.
Most of the raw materials they use for their industrialization comes from Africa.
Africa.
Whatever they use to sustain the industrialization is from Africa. And what are we getting in return? Nothing.
Nothing.
They take their raw materials at no cost or peanuts. They go and process it and now bring it back and impose the cost on you. So who is cheating who? We have not get anything from them, and they make sure we do not industrialize.
Yeah.
You go to their areas, you see Africans at the top technical positions, science positions, engineering positions, working for them. But down in Africa, they will never allow you to industrialize. So that They will keep on exploiting natural resources, raw materials, and imposing their finished products on us. So what is happening in Niger is that Niger is turning to them. That's another new, colonialism. The devil you know is better than the angel you don't know.
Yeah.
Because that angel might be an angel of destruction. And you go and embrace it. Russia
and I didn't mention China too. China is also in the picture, even though not militarily.
I said China, even India. Everybody is Africa. Second scramble for Africa. Whatever is left, they want to get from whatever the British and French could not collect by now. They want to instill revolution. They want to instill coups and all those things so that they move in. Are they going to be better? We are saying that we are tired with the colonialism. And you are coming from backyard as if you are coming to help me. What is your objective? To take over the colonialism from a different perspective.
Okay.
So, who has Russia ever helped free of charge? The Nigerian experience is still there. Ajokuta steel mill. Has it worked? It has not worked till today. You know, and when they want to work for you, they work with something you can never sustain except by them. Have you been to Russia? I've been to St. Petersburg, Russia, the first capital of Russia. You will see some trains that we may not allow to run here, dilapidated, and they apply the rails. You see some funny things, and you'll be wondering what makes a war power. Is it just nuclear heads? Do you understand? Let them help themselves first. They have a lot of areas to help their citizens, infrastructurally and otherwise. You have not settled their home. You are now coming to settle my own home. It is not proper. That is hypocrisy of the highest order. Let them leave Africa alone. Before the colonization, Africa survived. We had very good political systems.
Exactly.
We were making do with all natural resources we had at our disposal then. We weren't extinct. Now you came over through religion and whatever, and now you took over our land. You started with slavery. When that one was stopped, you moved in. Before they were not coming to stay because they had not discovered such natural resources.
Okay.
The only resources that were available was human resources. They came. When slavery was disbanded in the 19th century, they now moved in to check the hinterlands and discovered abundant resources. They now moved in through religion, Christianity in particular, and permeated those places. And then through as they are coming with Christianity, their companies are following. And before you knew it, they started rummaging the whole of Africa. They cannot mean better, well, for more than the owners of the land. So whatever package they say they have, let them place it on the table. Let's discuss it and follow the implementation judiciously. They will now bring obnoxious pacts with which they deceived our forefathers. And those ones, we are just more concerned about independence. They didn't bother to check the clause. You were talking of depositing some certain percentage. So it did not matter to us. What we wanted, okay, we'll be on our own.
We just want to be free.
We'll be putting our things there. But they didn't see the clauses where they said you could not take more than this amount. And even when you are taking that amount, you will be paying certain interest on your own money. Now we have realized it. People are now more red, more exposed, Awareness has entered everywhere. And they are telling you this pact can no longer work. It is no longer applicable. And you are saying no. Why wouldn't they react? Enough is enough. The earlier they begin to think of an equitable way of assuaging African nations and Africa, the better. Russia has nothing better to offer us.
Okay.
India has nothing. UK, Britain, US, nobody. They are coming to exploit.
Yeah, because anytime any nation gets involved in any other nation, they are, like the US, for instance, their own national interest will always be their priority. It will always be their number one, number two, number three focus. And that brings me to the follow-up question I want to ask now. So you see, why all these countries, as bad as much of what they've done has been to Africa, while all of that, be that the case, they are looking out for their national interests. They care for their national interests. Now, where is the African leaders' patriotism to care for their national interests, to be able to say, hey, no, this is not going to favor my people. No, this is not good for our nation. We want this because this is what's good for our nation. Because the problem is that our people, our African leaders, have past and present, they have always looked out for their own personal interests, and that's the root of the problem that all these other powers are exploiting. So if I just buy maybe the president, whoever the president be, or the governor, if I just give him some money or bribe him and make him happy with whatever it is I offer him, it doesn't matter whatever the national interest or the interest of their people. So I think that's the problem. So how do we address that? How do we, just like what's happening in Nigeria now, with all due respect to the Nigerian system, I have zero respect for the present Nigerian government, because I don't feel they have any right to go fight or go talk about coup, because what happened in Nigeria was a civilian coup. We all know and followed the election that it was rigged, completely rigged. But you see, they manipulated their way through, even though I still want to trust the judicial system that the right will be wrong. But the fact that people are more interested in their selfish interest, what they get, and they get into power, then the world powers come and they exploit that. So what do you say to that situation, which informs part of the problem of Africa?
You see, Nigeria doesn't have, as far as I'm concerned, a national interest.
Okay.
Yes. Nigeria does not have a national interest. I don't care about what is written in the papers. For you to say Nigeria's national interest, what is it that if you do to Nigeria, Nigerians will react in one direction? Is there anything that can be done to Nigeria that Nigerians will react? The answer is no. And that means absence of a national interest.
Okay.
If you kidnap an American anywhere, America will go to war.
Yeah.
To get that human being released, or you die for it.
Yeah.
Americans' national interest is human-centric.
Yeah.
They value the life of an American more than anything else.
Yeah.
So is Israel and some other countries. Because whatever development is driven by the human beings.
Of course.
And if you do not assure the human being that his interest is being protected by the nation, he will not be able to make any sacrifice. That's why the American says there are two countries in the world, America and the rest, and others. Okay. Human-centric. We don't have. The only thing that seems to bring Nigeria together, that you see Nigerians talk, is football. When Nigeria wins, everybody dances. When Nigeria loses, we all mourn. That is the only thing. And it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
Nigeria in Niger. One, Nigeria happens to be the president of ECOWAS. Now, and the responsibility of restoring normalcy in Niger rests on the leadership of ECOWAS.
Yeah.
But the issue here is that once beaten, twice shy.
Yeah.
We went to Liberia, we went to Sierra Leone. We committed our resources, both human and material, and funded ECOMOG. What did we get in return? Nothing.
Nothing.
Immediately after we have killed ourselves to restore peace, US and other Western countries moved in for reconstruction and whatever.
And for the natural resources.
We made it a research in the Defense College and the Armed Forces Command and Staff College to know why we even went to Liberia in the first place.
In the first place.
Because it was a military regime, there was no National Assembly.
Okay.
That would have discussed it and said, no, we are not going.
Okay.
Because the president wouldn't have gone there under fiat. It was a military dictatorship.
Okay.
But now that we are in a democracy, the president does not have the powers.
Okay, so now the Senate have said, the National Assembly has said to him, you can't go. We don't approve it. But they are using under the guise of ECOMOG. So how does that work out?
He cannot. We have learned America will not commit a troop where there is no interest. And before they commit that person, the national interest of America will outweigh whatever losses they may incur.
Of course.
Do you understand? America has never committed troops, even Britain, to peacekeeping missions.
Yeah.
Yes. All they come is observers, consultants, military consultants. They come and we, the poorer countries, will commit troops who might end being killed and things like that. So in Niger, we have our own political issue in Nigeria that is broiling. The elections have not gone down well.
Yeah.
Tribunal are sitting. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Committing Nigeria into war would be the wrongest move by the nation. What is there is they've started the diplomatic shuttle. Yes. Because of the wrong move Nigeria made, Niger called the bluff. Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso pronounced that if Nigeria should venture with ECOWAS or whatever into Niger, that they will support Niger.
Yeah. And they will leave ECOWAS too. I've heard them say they were going to get out of ECOWAS.
So you will now see what will happen.
Yeah.
You will not see what will happen. In ECOMOG, Nigeria funded it, both militarily and otherwise. And we got nothing. And it took us years. We've not even recovered.
Yeah.
From the aftermath. So the thing is, diplomacy is the game.
Yeah.
Because anything happening in Niger will affect Nigeria.
Of course.
Yes. Anything happening in Mali will affect Nigeria. Once there is war in those places, Nigeria will be flooded with refugees.
Not even only the refugees. I mean, northern Nigeria is part of. I mean, like you're fighting Niger, they wanted to fight back. They can hit places in northern, their next door neighbor, which is the northern part of Nigeria, which
they are not just next door neighbors. Most Nigerians have relations in Niger.
Okay.
Our immediate past president, immediately he left office, he went to Niger. It was this problem that brought him back.
Okay.
So, our borders are just artificial borders.
Yeah.
Some of the emirs, they have kinsmen in the other side.
Yeah.
So who is going to fight who? And when you fight them, what happens? Who takes over? So it's to make them say, okay, we have seen this, we have seen this. How do you want it? Let's go and discuss it at ECOWAS. Maybe we will now take a positive step against France, either to withdraw those pacts and agree on new pacts with them that would be acceptable. You know those things. And so, okay, in the interim, let us go back to democratic rule and then take care of this. Because the military junta will never sign any pact with any government.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think it's also important for ECOWAS to look out for the interests of Africa. I mean, like those economic, those West African states more than the Western powers, because it just seemed like, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seemed to me like ECOWAS, and that's based on history of what's been happening over the years. It does seem like they just play to the tune, or they take orders from what US, France, and those UK, what they want, and just they're like their puppet. So for ECOWAS to even have any credibility, they must seem to be speaking and acting for and on the behalf of the interests of those West African countries, not what France wants, not what US or what UK wants.
That is exactly what I was saying. ECOWAS, what they are supposed to, I expect them to do. You know, I say where a child is crying and pointing at, either the parent, the father's relation or mother relation is there. These four countries have one thing in common: agitation for freedom from colonialism against France. So it is for ECOWAS to go on the table and look at these grievances. Are they genuine? How do we ameliorate them? Let us in block call to France that our people are not happy with this. Yes. Already they are threatening of cutting ties with France. So better do something before they cut ties. And know that others are looking around. So their own is to talk as a bloc, protect the interests of their brother Francophone countries.
Exactly.
And then discuss with France on how to amend those pacts for justice and equity. That is just a bet. To say we are going to Niger to fight who? Most of the Nigerians have brothers in northern Nigeria. Katsina and the rest. So you want them to go and fight? Then even if you want to fight, is it the people from southern Nigeria you take to go and fight there? It will not work. And this is not there. Look at Russia. Russia thought they would run over Ukraine overnight. There are more to it.
Exactly.
Yes, there are so many people who are just watching. Once the fight breaks out now, they start supplying arms and all those things. And they are not supplying you the arms free of charge.
Of course. They're making their profits off it.
Sales. Because when you produce, you don't sell. You may not have a warehouse to store them. You know, so we should. Nigeria is following it diplomatically now. The first set of envoys sent to Niger were rebuffed. They came back. The second set, now they have agreed to come to Nigeria, Abuja, to discuss this on ECOWAS forum. And I believe the other three countries, Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso, will be there. Those ones who did their own, you did not go to fight.
Exactly.
You did. So why this one? And others have told you enough is enough. What these people are doing to us. You should call us and say, what is making you people? Or is it okay? Come, let's discuss it and conference to it. That is what I expect ECOWAS to do. But that of intimidation, it will not work.
It will work, especially for a military regime.
The Nigerians are ready, and they know that by the time you say you are coming in, most of them are already in Nigeria. Most Nigerians are in Nigeria. Doing one business or the other. Then they will become enemy with it. And cause more havoc for us in Nigeria.
Exactly. That's why I was saying that at the end of the day, they will also fight back and yeah. Wow. I really want to thank you for your perspective and much of what we've been sharing. You know, I know that most of these things, especially you having the military background, and you have actually been involved in some of these missions and been to some of these places. So I felt, and I know that you are, you know, one of the best persons to really talk about this issue. And I'm sure that our viewers have really enjoyed and gained insight to what we have been talking about. Hey, viewers, if you are just joining us, this is Global Politics on Persistent Works TV network. And we have been talking now, the focus today has been, or this week, has been on Niger because of the recent coup that happened there. And I've been talking with Rear Admiral RAPHAEL OSONDU, retired. He's a retired Nigerian Navy Rear Admiral, and he has a vast experience in these things, and we have really done good justice to this topic and been able to talk about different aspects of it. And I want to thank you so much, Rear Admiral, for your time and coming in and much of what you've shared and the perspective that you've offered. And I love the fact when you say that, hey, they are all coming for their own interest. It's not to look to Russia or to look to UK. The thing is, Africans and African leaders need to watch out for themselves and need to be able to take care of themselves. Every other person will always come with their own interests, and that will always be paramount. So as we begin to round up, what last word will you have to say concerning the situation, and maybe to any world leader who may be watching or listening to this broadcast? What would be the last word or piece of advice you want to give to African leaders, especially, and to ECOWAS, and maybe to Niger Nigerians?
I would advise that African leaders should be Afrocentric.
Okay.
That's the last one. They should be Afrocentric. Everything about Africa should be their major concern,
Right.
not external interests. So I advise leaders be Afrocentric. And in being Afrocentric, you be human-centric. Afro-human-centric. Think of your people first.
Okay.
Whatever decisions, policies, how will it affect
My
people?
people.
And once you get that right, your people will be solidly behind you.
Yeah.
And no world power can get into you, into that country, to disintegrate.
Wow.
That's word of advice.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you so much once again for your time. And I've really enjoyed the entire conversation and the insight you brought to this. So viewers, if you're just joining us, hey, you've missed a lot. I want to encourage you to, go to the video on demand, because this broadcast will be available in the video on demand section of our website, of our app. So if you just if you have Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, or you go to our app. Now, when you go to there's a section called the video on demand. Just scroll down. You can watch this interview all over again. And if you're watching us on social media, it will be available on the wall. But do share this video. Let it provide insight and a better understanding to what's happening to someone out there. And I want to encourage you. I want to thank every one of you who have taken time to watch. I want to thank you for your time, for your patience, and I'm sure you have enjoyed it so far. If you have not downloaded our app, please do go ahead and download our app. Go to the App Store, Google Play Store. Just type in Persistent Works TV Network. You will see our app. Download it and help us write a review as well. We have over 12,000 downloads so far. My goal before the end of this year is to have 100,000 downloads, and we'll get there by the grace of God. And when we hit that target, our next goal for next year is going to be 1 million downloads. We will get there. So help us get the word out and let this broadcast, let this TV network continue to bless others. Let me also remind you that we do have our Persistent Works online prayer that comes on every day, same time, same station. It comes on 10 a.m. Paso, which is Mountain Time, 12 noon New York time, which is Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. GMT, which is Nigerian London time, and also 5 p.m. Nigerian time. So do join us for the Persistent Works online prayer. This particular broadcast will be coming to you or comes to you every Wednesday, 3 p.m. our time, 10 p.m., 5 p.m. New York time, EST, and then 10 p.m. GMT. So I want to encourage you to join us every week, every Wednesday, whatever your time zone be, because we are going to be talking about different countries, different states, different cities each week. And I'm so glad that we've done justice. I believe we've done justice to this issue of the Niger coup and the entire sub-Saharan Africa, especially Francophone African countries, and what they've been going through. So once again, I want to thank everyone who have taken time to watch, and I want to thank my guest today, Rear Admiral RAPHAEL OSONDU. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much once again for your time, and I appreciate your insight, your perspective on this topic. God bless you, sir.
And bless you too.
Well, until we come your way again, viewers, this has been Global Politics Focus on Niger, and I've been your host, Bishop Colonel Paul Vincent, and I want to say thank you so much for your time. God bless you. See you next week. And remember, persistence works. God bless you. Amen.
Amen.
Watching Persistence Works Television Network, PWTN, founded by Dr. Paul and Vincent, preacher, teacher, and prolific author of the popular Persistence Works book series, broadcasting the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ from El Paso, Texas to the world, and bringing you into God's presence. Experience the difference. You'll never be the same. Don't just watch TV, watch Persistence Works Television.